Barbara Minto invented the pyramid principle at McKinsey and Company, and it's gone on to become one of the most popular frameworks for helping executives, companies, and consulting firms turn information into insights. However, in my experience working with these companies and executives, people struggle to understand the basic ideas behind the pyramid principle. The central idea of the pyramid principle is that you're communicating top down. What that means is you're starting with a core idea, main ideas, or what I call insights, before moving on to detailed information. However, how do you get those insights? How do you move from the detailed information up to those insights? In my experience, 3 principles help people understand this and unlock people's ability to apply some of the basic foundational principles of the pyramid principle in their work. Before we dive in, I want you to just take a quick look at this pyramid. This is a visual representation of what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be moving from the bottom level of raw information. This could be things like data points, quotes, any other sources of data you have. It's raw, it's unfiltered, it's unprocessed. You're moving from that bottom level up to the insights level. And ultimately, you're going to be moving to a top level of the main ideas. And this is the core top-down message you're going to be communicating. In practice, there can be many levels. You can move up many levels of abstraction. The key is every time you're moving up the pyramid, you want to be simplifying information while also bringing it together in a more powerful way such that your audience really understands the essence of what you're communicating. Let's dive into these 3 principles. The first principle is that ideas should be grouped together and that these groups should be of the same idea. This sounds simple, but it's hard to apply in practice. What you see in most business presentations and business communications is just large lists of unstructured or unfiltered information. By grouping ideas, you figure out a couple things. 1, you figure out ideas that might not belong at all in what you're trying to communicate, and you start to find patterns between different sets of ideas. You understand this belongs to this group and not that group. And by doing that, you can start to separate the groups and give each meaning, leading to a more clear insight that you'll develop. Which leads us to the second principle. The second principle is that the insights, the higher level idea, are inclusive of the ideas below it, right? So you have the groups, and then you move up to that insight level. That insight is going to be inclusive of the ideas below it. And Barbara Minto calls this completing the thinking. Here's a quote from her. "Most writers simply group ideas without completing the thinking. As we have seen, the tendency is to tie together ideas that have a general rather than a specific relationship, so that the ideas don't truly go together and therefore can't be summarized." Minto reinforces this message all throughout her book. Complete the thinking. You want to give ideas a cohesive narrative. A lot of times, audiences struggle to interpret what we're showing them. We show them large groups of information, and we don't actually tell them what it means. By giving groups of information meaning, we can complete the thinking in Minto's language and move to that insight level. The reason to do this, as Minto says, if you force yourself to justify each grouping of ideas in this way, the thinking you communicate to your reader will be totally clear and will more likely than not convey insights that you did not know you had before you sat down to write. Now, her book is aimed at writing, but you can do the same thing in PowerPoint. You can put your ideas on a slide and then use the title as a way to complete your thinking and give all that information meaning. The third principle that's important in the pyramid principle, and I think is a good test and is something I use with executives and clients, is the insight should stand alone. What I mean by this is once you've moved to that insight level, the higher level idea, the abstracted idea that really tells the audience what you're trying to say, you can get rid of the detailed information below it. And that the insight should stand alone. It should fully encapsulate the underlying information, or at least the important parts that you want to convey. A really basic example of this, let's say you have 3 data points. Home prices are increasing in Hartford, Connecticut. Home prices are increasing in Providence, Rhode Island. Home prices are increasing in Boston, Massachusetts. You could then summarize that to an insight which says home prices are increasing in the largest capitals in New England. It includes the information below, but once you've summarized it to that insight level, you can get rid of the data and information and just say that home prices are increasing in the largest capitals in New England. In my course, I teach an approach for doing this, which I call LSI, Label, Sort, Insight. It's a very basic approach where you can go through large groups of information and process it and go step by step with simple labeling techniques to move to those higher level insights. I have walkthroughs and examples of how I actually do this. If you want to see more videos on improving your business communication and thinking, you can subscribe. Also, comment below and let me know what else you want me to cover.